Hi, welcome guys to the Knitting Expat Podcast. It would be good if I got that right. My name is Mina and I'll be your host today. I am pretty sure fall, autumn, whatever you want to call it, has officially arrived here in the US, in New York City, which is where I'm recording from. It has been really cold the last couple of days, if you cannot tell by the way that I'm currently dressed. The windows are all closed, although I did have one open a crack earlier today. And whilst we don't control the heating is on. For those of you who don't know, this seems to be a pretty common thing with apartments in the city anyway, that you don't actually control your heating. The building management turn the heat on or off depending on what the weather's like. So there's definitely heat coming out of our radiators. So I just haven't turned the fan on, which I guess will help spread the heat throughout the apartment. But so yeah, so it's a bit nippy, but I actually quite like it because it means I get to wear my knitwear. So I'm wearing my I don't know if I actually said my name's Mina. Hi. Welcome to all of you who are coming back. Thank you so much for joining me every week, and welcome again if you're new. Hope you enjoy what you see. And yes, I just thought I'd quickly tell you guys what I'm wearing, because I'm not generally wearing knitwear on the podcast, at least I haven't been lately. So what I'm wearing is my Mark Lee sweater, jumper, pullover, whatever you want to call it, by Elizabeth Doherty, who is Blue Bee Studios, I think that's right. And it's got this really fun sort of braided detail, which I did in a contrast colour with contrasting cuffs as well. And the main colour is Plucky Knitter. And then the shawl I'm wearing is my Colour Blender wrap, which is one of my designs. And yeah, it is really big and squishy and sort of cozy and warm. And it's actually knit from Primrose Young Companies on the Adelaide singles base, and it's fingering weight held double throughout, which is how you get the colour blending effects happening. So you start at one end and you work your way through the different colours until you get to the other end. So yeah, it's really fun, and you can find the pattern for this on my Ravelry shop. It's actually, now that I've started talking, it's starting to get a little bit warmer. I think because I'm sat near the radiator, so I'm actually going to take this off because it's a bit warm. You'll see how big it is, but yeah, just thought I'd give you a quick little glimpse of this. And this actually knits up so fast. This is the largest size in the pattern, and it, you know, I knit this I think like 10 days. Bear in mind I knit this whilst also looking after my baby most of the time. I have a young child, Layla. She's 8.5 months old now. So yeah, definitely a quick and very mindless and easy knit to do without having to think too much about it. I'm just going to pop that over here in case I get cold again. But yeah, so places where you can find me, I have links to everything below this video. You can find me online as Mina Phillip on Ravelry, Knitting Expat on Instagram, and we have a podcast group which is Knitting Expat Podcast on Ravelry. And you can also find show notes for this and all previous episodes at knittingexpat.wordpress.com. So like I said, everything's linked below as well. A couple of quick announcements. I did finally get around to releasing the Christmas stocking pattern. I have no idea what's taking me so long or why it's so delayed. I had intended on releasing this like much earlier in October, but time got away from me, and it just kept getting pushed back. And it's a pretty big stocking, but there are notes in the pattern on how you can modify it, where you can make your changes if you don't want to make it as big as this one, and stuff like that. So it's very, I put it up for $2. It's a very simple pattern. Yeah, I just want as many people as possible to be able to knit Christmas stockings for themselves or for their families, or friends, whoever you want to. And I knit this using a sport weight held double. You can also use a fingering weight held double. You'd get something marginally smaller than this, or you could just use a worsted or Aran weight to get an equivalent sort of weight of yarn. And it's a little bit of colour work. Let's turn back. It's just a little bit of colour work at the top here, which, you know, you could always repeat after you've done the heel if you wanted to at the bottom, but I just chose to do it at the top. And yeah, I really like how this has turned out. So this is a stocking for my daughter Layla. I haven't lined it yet. I do plan on lining it with some fabric in the future. I know I'm not going to get around to it this year, so but I have included instructions, or I say included instructions, I've included notes on how I would go about lining it with fabric. They're very basic, very simplistic guidelines, essentially just telling you what I would do. And so if you're familiar with sewing or have sewn anything, no matter how basic, hopefully those guidelines should be enough to allow you to sew a lining for your stocking. It's very simple. It's essentially lay out the stocking on a piece of fabric, fold it over and cut around it, leaving a bit of a seam allowance, sew up the sides, turn it around, stuff it in. It's in the pattern notes anyway. But once I actually get round to lining this, I will take more detailed notes, and hopefully I'll be able to update the pattern later with more detailed and hopefully clearer, like full instructions on how to line it. But like I said, because I haven't done it myself yet, sorry about the messy hair, because I haven't done it myself yet, I didn't feel comfortable like including really detailed step-by-step instructions. So like I said, just general guidelines for now. And the pattern's only $2. Like I said, I want it to be easily accessible for everybody who wanted to knit one. And yeah, so there's that. Yeah, like I said, sorry about the messy hair. I'm recording while Layla's sleeping, and I wasn't actually planning on recording today. Normally today is Thursday the 9th of November, if I hadn't already said that. I normally record on Fridays, but tomorrow we're actually going to be out all day. Layla and I are meeting up with Perry, and we're going to be out all day, so I'm not going to have a chance to record the podcast tomorrow, and then it's the weekend, and I just don't see where I'm going to have time to do it if I didn't do it today. And for details I'll get into later, if I didn't record a podcast today, I would have gone the whole of November without having filmed a proper sit down episode for you guys, and I didn't want that to happen, so we are doing it today. I also have in other announcements, I also have a video for the 2018 sock clubs coming out soon, hopefully over the weekend. I just need to get some of the surrounding information. I also want to post like a thread in the group about it with all the information that I go over, like written out for you guys, so it's somewhere where you can reference it again and not have to watch the video necessarily again and again. So I just need to do some of that stuff around it before I can publish it, but I have edited the video and that's ready to go, so hopefully in the next day or so that will go up, you know, over the weekend at least. So that will be coming soon as well, so I'm really excited to finally get that information out to you guys. And yeah, and then the pre-sales will go up in a week or two after that. I've got the dates, I can't remember the dates exactly, but the dates are in the video. I think the pre-sales are going to go up end of next week. So yeah, exciting. I'm really excited about it this time as well, this next club. I feel a little bit more prepared for it as well, which is good. And finally, one last thing I wanted to mention. In the vlog I posted last week, I talked about doing a destash, and I sort of went over some of the ideas and things I had. And I've decided I'm definitely going to do the destash on Etsy. I just feel like it's going to be the easiest platform to manage it on, because when I did it through Instagram, there were definitely some issues where some people's comments weren't showing up, and so people thought they'd won something, they'd purchased something, or they'd claimed something and they didn't get it, and then it was quite time consuming for me sending out invoices to everybody through PayPal and things. So just doing it through Etsy solves a lot of those issues. Obviously there is like carjacking issues associated with Etsy, but there's not, honestly, this is really the only platform that's going to be simple and easy for me to use to do this destash. So I'm sorry if that's not convenient for everybody, but I haven't fully figured out when the stuff is going to go up online or what time and all that sort of stuff. I will figure that out and let you guys know through Instagram more than likely, and probably on the vlogs. It won't happen until the last week of November. We're going to Toronto for a week for Thanksgiving, so it'll be the week after that at best. I'm hoping to get photos taken of everything that's going in the destash over the next few days, next week, so then I can get all the listings and stuff drafted and ready to go quite quickly. And so then yeah, when we get back from Toronto, I'll be able to figure out when I can do the destash sale at that point. I might split it over like 2 or 3 days just to give people chances, but we will see. I haven't fully figured out all of those details. I just know it's not going to happen until the last week in November. Sorry about all the umming and ahhing. I feel a little bit unprepared today. I wasn't really planning on recording today, like I said, but I realized that I wasn't going to have another chance this week. So here we go. I do have 4 finished objects to show you. Actually, I can't show you, but I have 4 finished objects, 3 of which I'd finished last week when I did the vlog. So, but all 4 are projects for the sock club, so I can't actually show you any of them. But I do have the yarns and the labels and stuff, so I'll at least talk you through the different yarns that I used. So the first pair that I finished were for the Christmas sock pattern, which is the bonus pattern that comes with the clubs, but you can also purchase this one as a separate standalone pattern when it's released. So this yarn is by Turtle Pearl Yarns on the striped turtle toes, and this is in the Mistletoe Kisses colorway. That's all the yarn label details, and this is the colorway. So what you end up getting is uneven stripes with this colorway. You get a wide stripe of this dark green, then a thin stripe of the white, then another wide stripe of the dark green, then a thin stripe of the red, followed by like a medium stripe of this sort of minty greeny blue grey, and then another thin red stripe, and then back to the dark green. So I did show it a bit on the vlog, so if you go back and watch that, you'll see how this colorway knits up. But it's really fun, and I have a tiny amount of yarn left, which I think I paired the socks that I knit. I paired it with a red that I had in my stash, that leftover yarn that matched perfectly with the red in this. So I used that red for the heels on the socks. So what I'm going to do is use it for cuffs and toes, and knit tube socks for Layla out of this yarn. I'm going to do tube socks this time because I've knit Layla like 12 or 14 pairs of baby socks for like this coming winter. She absolutely hates having her feet covered. Like, she absolutely despises it. She like doesn't let me put them on. Let's put it that way. And even when we go out and it's really, really cold and have like a blanket tucked around her legs and everything, she still manages to kick one foot out to have it out in the air, like cold air or whatever. She just does not like having her feet covered. But I'm planning on knitting her tube socks because I'm hopeful that she will be able to wear them both this year and next year, and I'll probably knit them in 1 or 2 sizes bigger just so she can grow into them as well. Like I said, she doesn't really wear the socks for very long. It would purely be for the sake of taking a few photos maybe, because she'll have matching socks with me. So that'd be really cute and adorable, I think. So that is what I'm planning on doing with the leftovers for this yarn. That went off on a bit of a tangent, and I knit those socks using US 1s, 2.25 millimeters. I either use high sharps or Chagus for all of my sock knitting. So just putting that out there, telling you now. I don't know which ones I knit with what, but I just know those are the yarns I use, needles I use, sorry. Then the next pair of socks I knit up were using this yarn by Fully Spun. This is their Simple Spun in the Blue Hole colorway, and it's an 85-15 superwash merino nylon blend. It's a really, really plump fingering weight. You get 425 yards in 4 ounces, so it's a very plump yarn. I actually used a US 1.5, so 2.5 millimeter needle for these socks because it was so thick. And it's a 3-ply fingering weight yarn, so that's really, and it knits up really beautifully. Again, if you watch the vlogs, you'll have seen how those knit up. Then the next pair of socks I have to show you is by the Maker's Haven. I say socks, yarn that I'm going to show you that I knit socks out of is by Maker's Haven, and this is in her Midnight Talks colorway. There we go. This is in her Midnight Talks colorway. It's on her Simple Sock 80/20 superwash merino nylon, 2-ply, 400 yards. It's a really beautiful yarn, and absolutely love this purple. So there we go. That was that one. And the 4th pair that I finished yesterday, I think I finished these ones, is out of Teeny Button Studios in her Tough Sock base, which is a high twist fingering, 80% superwash BFL, 20% nylon in Sally's Pralines. So yeah, a really, really fun speckled colorway. It's a very neutral base, be easier to show with one. It's a very sort of neutral grey base, cream grey rather, with speckles of reds, blues, sort of golden yellows, and a few other colours in there as well, which is really, really fun. Just give you an idea. So yeah, so those are all yarns that I've used so far for patterns for the sock club for next year. And yeah, so those are all my finished objects, which, like I said, I can't show you any of them. So so yeah, moving on to works in progress. I have this pair of vanilla socks, which I still have not done much work on. I don't actually remember where I was at the last time I showed it to you, but I can't have been much further than I am now, which is like here. I think the last time I showed these to you, I finished the cuffs, so I think I'm maybe 10 rows in on this pair of socks. This is possibly my longest languishing pair of sock whips, pair of socks like ever. And I don't even remember why I cast these on at the time. I think what it was is I cast these on as vanilla, just gift socks, and then it suddenly hit me that I had all of these socks to knit for the sock club, and I started going to a bit of a panic, and I was like, okay, these go into the back seat now because they're not urgent, that I don't really even have someone specific in mind for them yet. So this is just my here and there knitting for now. And like I said, I haven't really picked these up yet because I had another pair of vanilla socks on the needle as well, and I was working on those as my here and there knitting, and those are almost finished. So then these will become my here and there knitting after, and like out and about and stuff. And we're going to the cinema next weekend, so this weekend, so this will come with me then. So I don't mind that these haven't been finished or that they've been on the needles for that long. It's not because I don't want to knit them or anything, it's just other things have taken priority, and I know I will eventually get to these at some point. There's no rush for them. So that was, sorry, I should have said, the yarn is Crit Yum Handmade on her Rosanna sock base, 75/25 superwash merino nylon. Honestly, this yarn is so soft, I thought there was cashmere in it. And this is in the Satrangi colorway. That's the label. It's 460 yards and 100 grams, so really good, generous skein there. So that's that. And then my other two sock whips, so that's also being knit on US 1.5s, sorry, ones, US ones, 2.25 millimeters. And this next sock whip I can't show you again either because it's for the sock glove, and this one the pattern goes on the front and back of the leg, so I really can't show you. But this is being knit out of the Cozy Knitter yarn in her Spectrum colorway. This is on her Bliss sock base. It's an 80/20 superwash merino nylon blend, I believe. And this is, like I said, her Spectrum colorway, which is a rainbow colorway, and you can see all the colors in this little gumball. And it did come with a contrasting blue for the cuffs, heels and toes. And I'm actually just at the heels for both socks, so I need to pop those in. I'm knitting these socks concurrently on two separate needles at the same time. Then my last sock work in progress is in this lovely bag by Adelaide Cottage. Really, really sweet. Oh, and this bag I forgot to mention is by Jodie of Mrs. Brown's Bags. And the other project bags I have are my own ones, so if I forget to say them, what they are. Sorry, I feel very disjointed today. But anyway, moving on. This is the current sock whip vanilla sock that I'm working on, and this is almost finished. These are socks for Perry for Christmas. I had planned on doing a pattern on these because it is a very sort of plain tonal color, but when it came time to like figuring out what pattern to do, and I just needed something to knit on, and I didn't want to think, so I'm like, you know what, whatever, I'll just do vanilla. I really, at the time, I wasn't in a good place to think about a pattern or anything, and he's already got a couple of pairs of like pebble socks and cobblestone socks, and honestly I couldn't, a lot of my own sort of like simple texture socks, he's really got pairs of those, so I just couldn't think of what to do. So I just like, my brain just was not working that day, so I just went with vanilla and stuck with it. And I'm almost there. I'm about 8 rows and a toe away from finishing these, so these will be done today. And the yarn I'm using for this is it's an alpaca sock blend, and this came as part of a knit crate actually that I box that I reviewed a few months ago. I set one skein aside for a giveaway, which is going to be part of the sock club grand prize bundle, one of those bundles, and I kept one for myself to knit a pair of socks with Perry because I knew he'd love the colour. And so it's Artisan Yarns. It's a line of yarns from Hamden Hill alpacas, especially dyed for Knit Crate. And it's the Blueberry colourway. This is their tag. It's their sock packer. It's apparently washable and durable. It's machine washable and tumble dryable. 60% wool, 20% alpaca, 20% nylon. So I thought, you know what, let's give this a test. And I machine wash all of our hand knit socks. There's only one pair of socks of Perry's that I hand wash, and it's a non-superwash wool yarn that I picked up in Finland, so I don't want to run the risk of felting it. So those are the only ones that I hand wash. But these ones, and typically with alpaca socks I wouldn't, or socks that have alpaca in the yarn, I wouldn't machine wash them. But the label says they're machine washable and tumble dryable. I don't tumble dry any of my hand knits, but I will definitely machine wash them and give them and see how they hold up. So I will let you guys know how that works out. My last work in progress, and the one that's been on the needles for a while, and I kind of had hoped I'd have been done with it by now, but like I said, these last couple of weeks I've been focusing on getting some of the patterns done for the sock club. So I've got 4 of them done, and the 5th one is like halfway, so I'm feeling a lot more relaxed about that now and a little bit less stressed out by it. So I'm picking this back up and working on it some more. I'll just straighten out the collar a bit. There we go. So what I have done since I last showed this to you is I finished the bottom ribbing, which you would have seen if you watched the vlogs, and as you can see, the front is higher than where the back hangs because I did the high-low hem, and I absolutely love how this has turned out. It just hangs a bit lower in the back than at the front. It all looks a little bit weird right now just because it hasn't been blocked or anything, and I've popped it on a hanger so you can see it better. And I have gone in, and actually on Friday last week, I think it was Friday, no, it wasn't Friday, it was one day over the weekend, I can't remember when it was now. It was actually one day during the week. It was like Monday or Tuesday, I can't remember. Anyway, point being, it was one day I sat down and in the morning I picked up the stitches for the button band, and I worked the button band. I did a little short collar. It's nothing too over the top, but enough to keep the back of the neck warm, and I added some buttons. And the buttons aren't the buttons I originally bought for it. I actually bought buttons at Rhinebeck for this cardigan, but I didn't actually mention, this is the Mix and Match cardigan, which is a pattern designed by me. It's my first adult garment design, which I'm really excited about. And so this is the sample I'm knitting for the pattern, and the yarn was generously provided by Into the World, and this is their mildly amusing colorway on their DK Dresden DK base. This is 100% superwash merino, and it's the kettle dyed version of this colorway. So yeah, like I was saying, I did pick up yarn. I picked up buttons for this at Rhinebeck, but unfortunately I didn't realise at the time when I got them, when I brought them home. I took the swatch that I knit for this with me to check for colour and make sure it would be the right sort of style and colour and everything, but what it didn't occur to me was the size compared to the overall size of the garment and how these buttons would look on it, especially because it's a DK weight as well. The buttons were maybe like, would have been like quite a bit. So these buttons are like 3/4 to 1 inch, like 3/4 of an inch to an inch in diameter, depending on which length you're measuring. And the ones I bought were maybe 1/2 inch around, like 1/2 inch diameter. So they would have been significantly smaller and less substantial on the cardigan, and I really think it needed more substantial buttons. But, so these buttons, I'll show you up close so you can see them. They're actually made from reindeer horns, and they are, no animals are hurt in the making of these. Reindeers shed their horns every year. So, and I got these in Iceland from a yarn shop in Iceland. It's actually a yarn and fabric shop in Reykjavik, and they had all of these different types of reindeer horn buttons, and I picked up 7 as a souvenir. I assumed I would use 6 and keep 1 as a backup button just in case, but I ended up needing to use all 7 for this cardigan. And yeah, so I wanted to use something special for this cardigan, and I thought this fit the bill perfectly. And I'd been holding on to these buttons waiting for the perfect project to come along. So yeah, so now all I have to do is pick up the sleeves and knit the sleeves, and then we're done. The pattern is mostly written up. I have to make a few changes. If you remember, if you've been watching for a while, you'll know that originally I had planned on having this pattern be both, have both a cardigan and a pullover style option. I've since decided not to go with that idea and to just release the pattern as a cardigan. I may in the future come back and do a pullover version as well, and then add that in with the pattern maybe. I'm not entirely sure how I would go about with that, how I would go about doing that yet. But now I think this is just going to be released as a cardigan pattern. There were a couple of logistical issues with having both versions in the same pattern. It was just making the pattern really long and quite cumbersome to work with. So I'm just trying to, I always seem to do this with designs. I go in and I want to include all the different options for you guys. I like my patterns to be as versatile as possible. And then with garments even more so apparently. But I need to sort of just remember that, you know, adding too much into a pattern can sometimes detract from the pattern itself. So I've decided to pare it back a little bit and just have a cardigan, have it as a cardigan option, which I find to be the most wearable type of garment for me, like most days. I know right now I'm wearing a pullover, but I really do love cardigans. I find that they are the best way for me to like moderate my temperature, because I can have it open or closed, or you know, things like that. I actually have quite a few cardigans that are open front, like they don't have buttons or any sort of closure, and two of them which I've been wearing a lot lately, the Blue Sands cardigan and my hoodie shawl cardigan. I'm actually planning when I go back to the UK for Christmas to take them with me and get zippers for them and install zippers on both of those, because I actually feel if I could zip them up, they would work a lot better for my wardrobe as well. I mean, they're fine as open cardigans when I'm at home, but if I go out and I'm wearing an open cardigan, I find I'm constantly holding it closed, like especially if it's windy or a bit cold. And right now with the stroller, it's a bit hard to push you know, to do that and like push the stroller properly sometimes, especially if the stroller's really loaded up with stuff. But so yes, that's a thought, and I've been thinking about doing that for a while. And you know, in the future I might do a cardigan design with a zipper as well option, because I think that's always a really fun skill to have. And I have done it once before, a couple of years ago now. I did knit a cardigan and install a zipper. My mum has that cardigan now. And but yeah, anyway, I'm really excited about this. I am currently on the sixth skein of yarn, so I just cracked into the 6th skein of yarn for the last few rows of the button band. So I think I will probably end up using, or having gone into the 7th skein of yarn by the time I finish the sleeves. Yeah, which is kind of what I'd estimated I would need. So all I need to do, and I'm planning this weekend to have some time to sit down and work on this design a little bit, grade the pattern hopefully, finalize some of the details, and then get it sent off to my tech editor. And hopefully once it comes back from her and I make any further changes that she suggests, then I will be looking for test knitters. I do really want to have this pattern out as early in the new year as possible, but I also want to give people plenty of time to be able to knit it as a sample knit as well. So I think I'm probably going to aim to have the pattern released by the end of January. I think that would be a reasonable thing to aim for. I want to be able to give my test knitters at least a couple of months to be able to work on it, especially considering we're coming up to the Christmas season and holidays and stuff. We're going to be slowing people down with their knitting. So we will see. I have to see how it goes. I'm not even sure how many sizes I'm going to have. I'm hopeful that I'll be able to like grade it for a wide range of sizes, but we shall see. Anyway, that was quite a bit of chatter about that cardigan. So I hope you guys are as excited about it as I am. I'm so excited to get this pattern out to you guys as soon as possible. So yeah, so moving on now, we have acquisitions. I only have a couple of small, well, I say small, but I have a couple of things to show you. First thing that came in the mail is this amazing book. I say book, it's actually, technically it's a magazine, but I think it's, you know, it's more substantial than a magazine. It's very much like a good book. And this is Woods by Making Stories, which is a collaboration between Barina Kors and Hannelisa Hafkamp. I'm sorry if I'm butchering your names, two amazing friends who are in Germany. They work together. Verena is a knitwear designer as well, and Hannah-Lisa is also within the community. She makes and sells project bags, as well as doing other sort of business related stuff. I can't remember exactly what it is, like business coaching related stuff as well. And they came together to create this magazine. They're currently working on the second one, which I think is called Breeze, but they sent this to me to review, and it is such a beautiful book. There are so many beautiful designs and patterns in here. It is amazing. I'm just trying to find a couple to show you. Like this cardigan, this sweater, this pullover is beautiful. It's all cables and textures and just amazing. Yeah, there's just so much in here that's so much yumminess in here. I haven't had a chance actually to read through it completely. I flipped through it a little bit over a couple of mornings, but I want to look at it in a bit more detail and read a bunch of the articles and stuff in here. There's a lot of like interviews with the designers and the people behind the yarns that are featured in this book or magazine. And I want to read a bit more of the stuff, a bit more of the content before I do a full review. And I will do a review of this at some point soon, probably as a separate video, just that way you guys can watch it if you're interested. And so yeah, massive thank you to Hannah-Lisa and Verena for sending me a copy to review. I really appreciate it. And yeah, it's just a really stunning book to look at. And even Layla, when she woke up the morning I was reading over this, she couldn't help but stroke it as well. Like, she just wanted to touch it and play with it. So it's even got Layla's seal of approval. So yeah, that will be coming soon. That review will be coming soon. Then the other thing that came in the mail was some lovely yarn from Grace, who is Babel's Travelling Yarns, has a Babel's Travelling Yarns podcast, and she now has started dyeing yarn as Babel's Yarn. I think her yarn company is Babel's Yarns. And she's also supplying yarn for one of the patterns for the sock club for next year. And so her yarn arrived. She actually very generously sent me 3 skeins so I could pick which one I wanted to use for the club. And the other 2 I will probably use as prizes, probably for the month where the pattern using her yarn is the one that is released, if that makes sense. So these are the colorways that she sent. That middle one's getting very blown out, but I'll show them to you one at a time. They're all on the same base, is on her merino sock base. And so this one is the colorway is Aura, which is really beautiful, sort of like minty greens, like this like beautiful like golden yellow, pale yellow, and some like sort of brown, more bits with a bit of brown in there. And if I pull that along, you can see how that works throughout the yarn. I think this is one of the first sort of like colorways she came up with, I believe, if I remember correctly, because that's really pretty. And then this one, same base. This one is called Ice Pale. I think it's really cute. And it's basically a natural base with specks and splashes of this beautiful icy blue color. So that one's also really beautiful. But I think it will come as no surprise to anybody that I picked this skein as the one to use for the pattern, because look at those colors. If those were not my colors in a skein, then I don't know what is. So this is her Calypso colorway, which I think is very appropriately named. Take the label off there so you can see that. Really beautiful. Got specks of, look at that color in them, that's beautiful. And all the greens, that really dark greens, really stunning. Shots of, is that blue or purple? I can't tell. Like a bluey purple. There we go. And yeah, it's just really, really pretty. This bit is one of my favorites. This little dark splosh there. Splosh. And yeah, so absolutely love this colorway. Definitely going to be the one that I use, I think. I'm pretty sure. I have to double check which designer I had allocated for her yarn, and I might need to switch things up a little bit, but we shall see. So that was so thank you so much to Grace for those lovely yarns. Like I said, the 2 that I don't use I will definitely put towards podcast prizes, I think. And yeah, Layla's woken up, so I'm going to go grab her really quickly and then come back and finish this off. We don't have a lot to do. We don't have a lot left. I just have a couple of like knit along announcements and then a week in review. So if you're only here for the yarn, then that's it. It is that the yarny stuff is all done, and I'm just going to go grab my baby and I'll be back in a second. Dishwasher's done. Okay, so I'm back now with Layla. She's just woken up from her nap. Hi. Yeah. Oh honey, she's got like some crazy bedhead going on right now, but we will see if she will just sit here and sit on my lap. Okay, here we go. He's your little hippo. She loves this toy. Yeah. Okay, so as for knit along news, so the Road to Rhinebeck cowl has now finished. That is over. I've left the chatter threads open, so you guys are still welcome to enter your photos and stuff in there if you want to share. Yes. Yeah. And we still have 2 other ongoing knit alongs. So the Knitting Expat Designs knit along is ongoing until the end of January, and sorry, end of this year, and then no, end of January. That is right, yes. And then the Sock Pattern Club, the New York Sock Club for this year, that will be running until the end of November. So you have until the end of November to enter your finished objects in the monthly FO thread as well as the grand prize FO thread. Please do make sure you read the rules about the grand prize FO thread so you enter your, so you make your entries correctly. Only correct entries will be entered into the prize drawing, if that makes sense. The rules are all in there, so please follow those rules and that'll be fine. Yeah. And so the week in review, so Layla's now 37 weeks old. She's 8.5 months in month terminology, I guess. She absolutely loves her walker. At the beginning of last week we got a walker for her, and if you watch the vlogs you'll have seen. It took a bit of convincing at first, but she eventually figured it out, and now she runs circles around the apartment. She absolutely loves that thing. And yeah, she hates it if I leave a room without her. Like, she will cry the moment I leave and she can't see me, but now she's figured out that she can follow me. So usually in the walker, or even just on her hands and knees on her belly, she just scoots around the apartment and just follows me wherever I go. And so it's been a lot of fun, isn't it? Yeah. So she's been using up a lot more energy as well, so she's been hungrier than usual, which is fine, which is all good. And yes, other than that, it's not actually been a whole lot going on this last week. She's getting better and better every day with like learning how to feed herself. I'm still feeding her purees and stuff at meal times, but we're using snack times as opportunities for Layla to learn how to like feed herself. She's doing better. And yeah, so in a couple of weeks we'll be going to Toronto for Thanksgiving week. Yeah. So we actually leave next Saturday, so not even a couple of weeks, just a little over a week away. We're going to Toronto. We wanted to go somewhere that wasn't going to be a long flight for one. Toronto's pretty close flight time wise, and preferably within the same time zone. I really didn't want to have to deal with shifting Layla's you know, schedule and stuff too much. So yeah. So we're looking forward to that. And then, like I said, not a whole lot's been going on since the last time I vlogged. It's been a bit quiet this week. And I mentioned earlier that I'm going to be out all day tomorrow, so I'm recording this a day early. And then because next week is a vlog week, and then we're going to Toronto, so I'm planning on vlogging that as well. We get back on like the 24th of November, which is a Friday. So the earliest I'll get to film another podcast will be the following week, and the following Friday is actually the 1st of December. So if I didn't record today, there wouldn't have been another podcast. I know, how terrible. There wouldn't have been another podcast until December, and I didn't want to go a whole month without a sit down video. So So yeah, so the next time I podcast, I will show the prizes for the 2 cows that we have going on at the moment, and then in that following week I will probably post a separate prize drawing video like I have been doing recently anyway. So just want to let you guys know about that. Then otherwise, I've not been feeling particularly great today. I woke up this morning, my back was really sore, really painful, and yeah, everything's just felt like a lot of work today. It's just been one of those days, I think. Layla's not been particularly difficult or anything like that. Like generally she's been pretty good today. It's just, I don't know, I'm not feeling particularly great, but whatever it is, I'm sure it will pass soon enough. And yeah, but anyway, I hope this feels like it's been quite a short episode. I hope it's a shorter episode because I don't want to have to edit for too much. But thank you again, as always, for joining me. I have a cute little Layla video that I will pop in at the end here, so if you want to watch that, feel free to stay tuned. It's only like a minute long. But yeah, so take care, and I will see you guys in the vlogs. All right, bye.